I feel a heavy responsibility to deliver a great show, and I trust that I do that most days. And I don't think today is going to be an exception, but I couldn't do it last night. I tried, and I got angrier, and I got angrier, and I was finding myself in a sense of rage at this sham of a convention in Chicago which is entirely predicated on a giant lie. Let me take you back in time. Joe Biden claims that the only reason he ran for president is because Donald Trump called white supremacists fine people. Now, that lie, that completely fabricated hoax, has been debunked over and over and over again. Even Snopes, the left-leaning website that's supposed to be a fact checker, has debunked the false story that Donald Trump ever called neo-Nazis and white supremacists fine people. He was talking, of course, about the people in the South who don't want Confederate statues and memorials to be torn down. That's who he was referring to, and everybody knows it. Joe Biden says, I ran for president because Donald Trump called white supremacists very fine people. And he repeated it last night to the cheers and the applause of the people inside that United Center. I could not sit through it. I wasn't going to watch it. My personal well-being, my mental well-being is more important than subjecting myself to that kind of garbage. Here's what Biden shamelessly and shamefully said again last night, buried at 11 o'clock at night, an hour late, in the worst time slot of any political convention. They threw him out the window, like Chris Wallace put it. They've completely kicked him to the curb. They have humiliated him. They've embarrassed him. Nancy Pelosi shamed him by admitting she did what she had to do, which is what she said in an interview this week. And there they were last night, listening with enrapt attention to one of the biggest damnable lies ever told in American political history.
When the president was asked what he thought had happened, Donald Trump said, and I quote, "There are very fine people on both sides. My God." That's what he said. That is what he said and what he meant. That's when I realized, had listened to the admonition of my dead son, I could not stay in the sidelines. Democracy has delivered. And now democracy must be preserved.
The angry old man slurring his words, lying through his teeth, and once again invoking his late son as all the reasons that he ran for president. It's disgusting, it's nauseating, it's sickening, and I didn't watch that live. Maybe you did. I know I've got a great team that can provide me with clips and analysis. I turned the TV off about a half hour into the convention. I made a donation to the Trump campaign, and I read a book, and I went to bed, secure in the knowledge that I'm not going to put myself knowingly into that kind of a rage. These are disgusting people. They really are. I did see the Five earlier in the day. I think it was Jesse Waters who pointed out the Bidens hate the Obamas hate the Bidens, the Clintons hate everybody. I mean, they all hate each other. There's no unity there. Josh Shapiro, who got passed over, is boycotting the convention apparently. Fetterman's boycotting the convention. Biden isn't staying for the convention. They don't have any unity. They're a train wreck. They're a dumpster fire. And so I'm going to turn it over to you. Feel free to join me at 800-655-MIKE. I'm in a kind of a weird spot. First time I've ever done this. I have never felt like I would knowingly abdicate what is normally a responsibility of mine. You know, the old joke is we talk show hosts do things so you don't have to. At the end of the day, I wasn't going to put myself through that last night. Maybe I'm selfish. I'm 64 years old. I'm in good health. I feel good. I don't think when you put that kind of poison into your veins, it's good for you. I don't think when you knowingly infuriate yourself, it's good for you. There's nothing positive, productive, or meaningful in sitting in my living room enraged. They're a sham. They're a joke. They're a disgrace. They're liars. They have no dignity. They have no self-respect. And I don't want to have that in my life. So here we are. Our number is 800-655-MIKE. We're in the Relief Factor Studios Tuesday, August the 20th, 2024. 1-800-655-MIKE. This, of course, is a caller-driven show. Let the other shows have all the talking heads they want. The only talking head that matters to me is the American people. Join me at 800-655-6453. Maybe you watched it, maybe you didn't. But when I can play a clip of Joe Biden repeating that despicable, ghastly, damnable lie that Trump referred to white supremacists as fine people, I knew I made the right choice in going to bed rather than watching that bitter, raging, yelling, angry old man shaking his fist at the clouds. Not for me. Not for me. I mean, there's no pushback from the media. There's a little bit. They were laughing at the excuse that the Democrats, it was such a crap show last night. They claimed that Biden was an hour or two late because of all the raucous applause that was taking place. The applause, and apparently a CNN panel laughed at that. They mocked that. We have that clip, guys. I don't know which number it is. Apparently, here was Anderson Cooper, I think, and the CNN folks scoffing at the explanation of why Biden's speech was so late into the night. Everybody knows his speech was way late into the night because they were insulting him, because they were continuing to stab him in the back, because they relegated him to the graveyard of conventions because they want him gone. Here was CNN's reaction to the DNC's explanation. Well, it was all of the applause that caused the speech to go so late.
By the way, I see a report that convention officials are saying that the reason it went long is because of all the raucous applause. That's sort of the thing you build into like this, isn't it? We have had conventions before. Like, you sort of know what.
That's amazing spin.
Straight ahead, we'll find out if Democrats stuck to the facts in their speeches.
Wow.
And I will also tee up the convention.
You're the lady say, I don't know who she is. That's amazing spin, she said. Even CNN is pushing back at some of the ridiculousness. And you hear, and if you watched him last night, the whole thing was filled with rage. I mean, and why wouldn't he be enraged? Why wouldn't he be angry? They kicked him to the curb. I mean, pass the torch? Obviously a talking point that they came up with. How embarrassing that they made Biden say this.
Mr. President, are you ready to pass the torch, sir? Are you ready to pass the torch? Yes, sir. I am.
Yeah, I am. I am, he shouts to the reporter. Pass the torch. Yes, I am. I mean, listen to what he said. This was the astounding moment that makes me grateful that I wouldn't tune in. I could not watch this kind of garbage. Here's Biden pretending to believe that somehow democracy prevailed. Kamala Harris hasn't gotten a single vote from anybody. No, she didn't have a single delegate, not a single primary voter. When she ran before, she got 3% of the vote. She is one of the most unpopular political figures in the history of America. She makes Jimmy Carter look like Winston Churchill. And yet there's Biden lying to the world and pretending that somehow he helped save democracy by letting Nancy Pelosi and Kamala throw him out the window.
Now it's summer. The winter has passed, and with a grateful heart, I stand before you now on this August night to report that democracy has prevailed. Democracy has delivered. And now democracy must be preserved.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I stand before you to report that democracy was preserved? What, by you getting pushed down the steps? By them pulling the rug out from under you, democracy was preserved? I mean, this is a complete insanity. This is just down the rabbit hole. So you want to watch it? Knock yourself out. We'll report to you. We'll tell you about it on the show. It cracks. I don't even know why I pretend. I don't even know why I bother. I'm looking at the takeaways. This is from NPR. Trump won't cede the spotlight to Kamala by holding rallies this week. Oh yeah, he's supposed to stay home. How dare Trump campaign? I mean, here was Chris. I'm lifting my ban on CNN clips for just a few days more. You got to hear Chris Wallace describe what's really happening in Chicago this week at the DNC.
The word that everybody is using to describe tonight is bittersweet. It's just bitter. The fact of the matter, I'm not saying Joe Biden is bitter, but, you know, it's like you've been thrown out a window, and as you're falling, you go, gee, it's nice out here. No, he got thrown out of a window, and basically he was forced. You know, there's going to be a lot of talk tonight about how generous it was of him and selfless of him. He was basically forced out by Nancy Pelosi and Barack Obama and Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries.
The only part that Chris didn't get right is that Joe Biden isn't bitter. Oh, he's bitter. You could see it in his face. You could hear it in his voice. The rage, the anger, the frustration, and the utter... Look, if you don't like the guy, and I'm going to get personal here for just a moment, when you have a political opponent, you do like to see them lose, and Joe Biden is the ultimate loser. He lost big time. All the times that he's tried to call Donald Trump a loser, Joe Biden suffered a humiliating, disgraceful defeat at the hands of that vicious, nasty Nancy Pelosi and these angry denizens of the Democrat Party. So take a little bit of comfort in knowing that Joe Biden knows that his whole career ended in a complete and utter humiliating loss.